Now at 5, we'll break down a couple of construction projects in Joplin and the busy roads they'll impact. Plus, how a local program is offering students access to extracurricular activities. And
a bipartisan group of senators announced a deal on a framework for new gun control legislation. I'm Skylar Henry on Capitol Hill with the details of what that looks like and reactions to the agreement.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A portion of Joplin's Range Line Road is set to close in just over a month. This is KOAM News at 5. Work has been progressing on the bridge project near 29th Street. The work is to replace the railroad bridge with one that's higher to accommodate trains. The new bridge will also include sidewalks. Crews have been working to relocate utilities around the bridge, and on July 18th, the bridge will close to traffic.
It's an old bridge. It sees a lot of traffic. It's in poor shape. It's becoming more and more of a maintenance issue for us to keep it going. And so the time comes when it becomes more financially responsible to just go ahead and replace the bridge.
The bridge is expected to be closed for 87 days. Tonight at 6, we're going to have more on this project and how it could impact a local business. Another future project is in the works in Joplin from MoDOT. The department is taking public comment for work on 7th Street from Schifferdecker to Range Line. The work is slated for late 2024 and could include things like pavement improvements, traffic flow improvements, and sidewalk improvements. Officials with MoDOT say this project is a bit different than most.
We want to hear from the public, and we really do want to hear your ideas and your suggestions to incorporate into this project. This is your street in your town. You live here and you drive here, so you should have some say-so in how the project goes.
MoDOT has set aside about $30 million for that project. A local organization is helping kids take part in extracurricular activities. The Alliance of Southwest Missouri is offering a program called Full Potential. It offers assistance to area students in the form of money to pay for registration fees and equipment, as well as transportation. Officials say this program makes sure every child has a chance to reach their full potential.
These funds stay local. They are helping local kids in our communities. We serve Jasper, Newton, McDonald, Barton County, and these kids are all they're here. They're your neighbors. They're the kids that you see in the park, and ultimately they're the kids that you see on your local sports teams.
The Alliance offers resources to kids and their families in Jasper, Newton, Barton, and McDonald counties. Nick Kelly joins us now with a first look at the weather.
And it's a hot and humid first look at weather once again, Dowe. Even though it does look nice, maybe a little bit of a haze to the sky at times, it is just downright hot and humid, so it's no wonder we have the heat advisories for most continuing until 8 o'clock this evening, and even a little bit of an excessive heat warning ongoing for parts of northeast Oklahoma until 8. That's because we don't have any clouds to stop the sunshine from coming in, not to mention this upper level ridge. That's your still main culprit to keep us hot and humid to get this evening underway. We're all sitting in the mid-90s right now, but you factor in the humidity. Feels like 100 to 108 in many spots, and we're not going to cool off much for the overnight. 90s, 80s, maybe upper 70s to near 80 degrees, but I do have some rain chances in the extended forecast now. We'll see if that can try to scrub out some of this heat and humidity coming up in a bit.
See you then. Senate lawmakers are beginning to draft the most significant federal legislation to address gun violence in nearly 30 years. President Biden has indicated he'll sign the bill if it reaches his desk. Skylar Henry reports from Capitol Hill.
Senate lawmakers are putting pen to paper on a landmark bill to curb gun violence plaguing the country.
I will put this bill on the floor as soon as possible, once the text of the final agreement is finalized, so the Senate can act quickly to make gun safety reform a reality.
A bipartisan group of senators announced a framework agreement Sunday, which would provide financial support for states to create or administer red flag laws that would temporarily remove guns from individuals deemed to be a threat.
This bill doesn't do everything, but it is substantial. It is significant. It will save lives.
The deal also expands investments in mental health and school safety and enhances background checks for gun buyers under 21. At least 10 Senate Republicans have already signed on to the proposal, increasing the likelihood of it passing before the July 4th holiday recess.
There's a lot of confidence that we can get this across the finish line, but obviously the devil will be in the details.
On Monday, the Justice Department indicted an alleged gun trafficker in Texas and urged Congress to do its part.
As our agents and prosecutors work to get crime guns out of our communities, we are also committed to doing everything we can to support the bipartisan gun safety negotiations that are taking place in Congress as we speak.
President Biden has signaled he would sign the legislation if it reaches his desk, but would like to see more done. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The National Rifle Association has warned the group will continue to oppose any effort to insert gun control policies that deprive law-abiding citizens of their fundamental right to protect themselves. The second round of the January 6th hearing is underway today. The committee says today's hearing is laying out evidence of an alleged conspiracy led by former President Trump to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Former Fox Digital politics editor Chris Stirewalt and conservative Republican election attorney Ben Ginsberg were among those testifying. Ex-Trump campaign manager Bill Steepings did not testify because his wife is in labor, but the panel showed video of his closed-door interviews. Police in Idaho say they prevented a possible domestic terror attack over the weekend. 31 men were arrested, all dressed alike, allegedly on their way to wreak havoc at a Pride event. They were found standing in the back of a U-Haul truck with riot gear. All had traveled from elsewhere, and police believe they're members of a white supremacist group. Still ahead, the trend of shrinkflation.
Some products at the store are getting smaller, and you may never notice. I'm Trinity Chavez, and I'll tell you why.
And next in Health Watch, what a new study shows about how much exercise teens really need every day. Topping today's Health Watch, a new form of birth control for men could be on the way. A contraceptive development program finds 2 experimental pills are effective at suppressing testosterone, which lowers sperm count. Researchers say the drugs do not appear to cause unacceptable side effects. A new study out of England reveals how much exercise teenagers need every day to stay healthy, and it might not be as much as you think. Reporter Ian Lee has that story.
There we go. So nice and slow to begin with.
13-year-old Kitty is doing a health check.
That's it, Kitty. Keep this up.
Completing a non-stop 20-yard shuttle run.
Good work. High five. Yeah, well done.
How was it?
It was hot, but bearable.
That's exactly how researchers from Oxford University say it should feel. Their new study revealed children benefit from spending 20 minutes a day breathing hard and getting red in the face.
We really do recommend that children and adolescents get into these good habits of exercising frequently at these high levels now.
Researchers tested activity levels of more than 300 kids and found short bursts of panting and sweating were enough to improve physical, mental, and cognitive health. While the World Health Organization says children should get 60 minutes of moderate to strenuous exercise a day, Oxford's lead author found less is more if you go harder.
You do need to get hot and sweaty, you do need to get breathless, but you don't have to do it for an hour, you only have to do it for about 20 minutes a day in total.
Researchers say the fitness benefits of grueling workouts plateau at about 20 minutes. They encourage kids to find an activity they love to do with friends, and Kitty agrees.
I think when you do it together, you can also motivate each other, and you want to do well with your friends.
Kids helping kids to become healthy adults. Ian Lee, CBS News, Oxford, England.
Researchers also found that teenage boys tend to get more vigorous exercise than girls. The findings are published in this month's Pediatrics Journal. Teenagers started eating less junk food during the pandemic. A study at Broward College says it's the first decline in 30 years, with adolescents consuming significantly less ultra-processed food, including potato chips, candy, and sugary drinks. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, how a local veteran helped get a stretch of highway renamed to honor those who served.
Plus, it was hot and humid to start this work week out. We'll see if any relief is in sight when we come back. Even though we kept things pretty quiet to start this new work week out, you just take one look outside from our camera at Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. You can see almost the mugginess that is persisting not just over the casino grounds, but across the entire area. That downright kept us hot and humid. Very similar to yesterday, as a matter of fact, where we hit the mid-90s for highs. We did not get much in the way of relief during the overnight. Back near 80, some of you lucky if you got into the upper 70s this morning, and then right back into the mid-90s this afternoon. That is why, along with the humidity, we have all these heat advisories still in effect until we hit about 8 o'clock this evening, and including Nevada, Washington, and Craig, you all are under excessive heat warnings until we hit 8 o'clock this evening. That's all because of an upper level ridge in control, compressing any rising air. That's why we can't get any heat or humidity to get any thunderstorms going. So even though it's dry, boy, this upper ridge is doing the trick to keep us hot and humid. It looks nice from 7th and Ranch Line, but we're at 94, feels like 108 with that dew point way too high at 77 degrees. Most of us are in the lower to middle 90s right now. Everybody, though, feels like we're either around 100 to about 107, 108 degrees. And we're not going to cool off much again tonight, falling through the 90s, still in the 80s by midnight, and eventually we'll try our best to get back into the upper 70s later on tonight. Not much to show across the entire four-state region. Any big systems staying off to the north, but I do want to keep an eye on this cold front, though, that could play a role in the forecast by the middle of the week. Until then, this upper level ridge keeps any big systems away, and we'll have to wait for this to weaken and shift around before we can get that front from the northwest to try and come at us with maybe some rain chances that we can hopefully cash in on. As far as this evening goes, at least we're looking dry. We'll keep it that way with pretty much clear skies for the rest of the night. But you can see how we'll stay warm and muggy. Upper 70s to near 80 to start your Tuesday morning out. Mostly sunny skies abound again for tomorrow, and temperatures maybe a hair or two cooler, but much the same, hot and humid again. 78 in the morning, that south wind at 10 to 20 kicking in during the afternoon will take us to 88 by noon, and highs near 93. Going into Tuesday night, warm and muggy again, this time upper 70s for lows again, and back in the lower 90s for Wednesday. And before that cold front can do anything, all this heat and humidity is going to be kicked down a notch or two. But tomorrow, it could still feel like the mid-90s to about 100 for Tuesday afternoon, and we'll just do it again on Wednesday, back into the mid-90s to about 100 in terms of what it feels like against your skin. Now, that cold front to the north and west, it might want to try to send some isolated thunderstorm chances in here as we go into Wednesday night and Thursday as this upper level ridge shifts around. So this might be our best shot for any rain or storms for this week. And then once that system's gone, we're dry for the coming weekend, but that upper ridge wants to maintain control, so it'll keep us mainly on the hot side and maybe a bit humid too by the coming weekend. 93 tomorrow, 91 on Wednesday. Generally, Dowe will stay in the lower 90s for highs for the next several days, and hopefully we can be back near 70 for overnight lows by Saturday morning.
That'll be better, but in the meantime, it's just different degrees of uncomfortable.
Yeah, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah. Thanks, Nick. Hey, if your signal of KOAM or Fox 14 becomes glitchy this week, that is actually a sign of progress, believe it or not. We're going to be broadcasting from a lower temporary antenna while a crew installs a new, more technically advanced antenna at the top of our tower. Final step in our More Power project. This is going to allow some viewers who previously lost our signal to get us again. If all goes to plan, we're going to be back up and stronger than ever by the end of June. Thanks to a Carl Junction veteran, a stretch of 171 is now named to honor those who served. Missouri legislators last month passed a bill to name a section the Atomic Veterans Memorial Highway. U.S. Navy veteran Clayton Crosby worked for years to pass that legislation. The National Association of Atomic Veterans recognizes veterans who were exposed to radiation during atomic bomb tests.
There are quite a few atomic veterans in the Joplin and Pittsburgh regional areas, and so this is something that will be a reminder because we don't want to forget the sacrifices they made during their time in service.
Crews are still working on the official signage for the name change. We're going to hear from the local veteran tonight at 10. Coming up, federal rule to update furnace standards. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Thomas Corwin joined the U.S. Marine Corps in 2004. The Erie, Kansas native was stationed in Iraq, and we salute Corporal Thomas Corwin, a four-state hero. You can learn about lots of other heroes, thousands of them from all across this area. You can also submit a hero of your own anytime. It's very simple. You just go to our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the White House is looking to make a change to the country's furnace standards. It would be the first update since the 90s. The proposed rule is all about energy efficiency, effectively phasing out less efficient furnaces which waste excess gas. The proposed rule would go into effect by 2029 at the earliest, and furnace manufacturers would have to stop producing the old inefficient furnaces and ban new imports of those furnaces. The rule would not penalize homeowners who have an old furnace. The latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the price of food shot up 10% over the past year. That's the biggest annual jump since 1981. And if high prices weren't enough, reporter Trinity Chavez shows us that some of the products we buy are getting smaller.
You probably wouldn't notice when you're shopping at the grocery store, but many products on the shelves are shrinking.
I started noticing changes in product when I would simply go to the store to buy them.
Mary Bach is a consumer advocate, and last week she spotted Gatorade for sale in a new bottle.
The newer bottle is a little bit slimmer, 32 ounces down to 28 ounces, and they were both exactly the same price.
It's called shrinkflation. More and more products with less inside. A small box of Kleenex now has 60 tissues. A few months ago, it was 65. A popular yogurt went from 5.3 to 4.5 ounces. And the Dawn detergent on the right is a half ounce less, but the packaging looks similar to the old one.
Usually we see shrinkflation coming in waves. And at the moment, because of inflation, it's a tidal wave of shrinkflation.
Edgar Dworsky is the founder of ConsumerWorld.org. He says manufacturers' production and shipping costs are going up, and many companies don't want to raise prices.
They know consumers are price conscious and they're going to catch that, or they can do it the more subtle way, take a little bit out of the product.
And some companies are upfront about the changes. Earlier this year, when chicken prices soared, Domino's announced that it would be shrinking the number of chicken wings in its carryout deal from 10 to 8. Consumer advocates say most companies never point out downsizing.
Manufacturers are really good when they want to give you a bonus. So there's a big banner on the package that says, look, 20% more. Unfortunately, we're never going to see one of those that says, look, 20% less.
Some manufacturers may reintroduce larger packages when inflation eases, but Dworsky says once a product has downsized, it often stays that way. Trinity Chavez, CBS News, New York.
Microsoft has announced the retirement of its oldster internet browser, Internet Explorer. The 27-year-old browser will be completely phased out on Wednesday. It was launched in 1995 as an add-on package for Windows 95. Microsoft later started providing the app free of charge as part of the package. The company is now focusing on its current main browser, Microsoft Edge. Final check with the forecast is ahead, but first, Wall Street officially enters bear market territory, down more than 20% from its record highs in January. Here are some closing numbers.
Salon service is provided by the Wild Side in Pitt.
Up next on the CBS Evening News, look at today's Wall Street woes and fears of a recession. Then on KOAM News at 6, Independence, Kansas police released new details in the investigation of a hit and run. Plus, Oklahoma lawmakers return for a special session to discuss tax issues. And details on a special election in Columbus, Kansas tomorrow to renew a sales tax. Stay with us, CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Like it or not, the 90s are going to be staying with us for a while.
Yeah, and hopefully, though, Dow, once we get into the middle of the week, any rain chances could try to take the edge off of things a little bit. But we're dry, and just a repeat of today all over again for tomorrow with highs through 93. Heat indices, since the humidity will be a little lower, let's say mid to upper 90s across much of the area. We'll watch for slight storm chances Wednesday night, Thursday, and Friday, but that's our best shot for rain, and even then, we'll be seeing highs staying in the low 90s for much of this week.
At its best. It doesn't sound good next week anyway. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.